Imagine a land where snow-kissed mountains pierce the sky, where emerald lakes mirror the heavens, and where the air smells of pine, chocolate, and adventure. This is Switzerland, a country not just of scenic beauty, but of stories. Stories that hide behind every peak, every stone village, and every quiet train ride.
Today, we begin our journey through the 10 most incredible places to visit in Switzerland. But we are not just ticking off names on a list. No, this is about immersion. This is about standing in a place and feeling the world pause. And the first two wonders? They're more than destinations, they're dreams brought to life. 1. Zermatt and the Matterhorn, Switzerland's alpine icon. As your train gently winds its way through valleys and past whispering forests, the village of Zermatt comes into view like a secret whispered between mountains. There are no cars here. Only electric taxis and the distant sound of cowbells. Why? Because Zermatt is about purity, of air, of silence, of experience. And towering above it all, the Matterhorn. That perfectly pyramid-shaped peak you've seen on chocolate boxes? It's real. And it's here. History and legend, the Matterhorn, standing tall at 4,478 meters, is more than just a mountain. For centuries, it was feared, avoided, even cursed by locals who believed it was unconquerable. That changed in 1865 when Edward Whymper, an English mountaineer, made the first successful ascent. But the descent was tragic. 4 of his 7-member team fell to their deaths, cementing the Matterhorn's reputation as both majestic and merciless. Today, it stands as a symbol of human ambition, nature's power, and Switzerland's unshakable identity. Things to do in Zermatt-Gonnergrat Railway. The cogwheel train climbs over 3,000 meters in elevation, winding through tunnels and snowfields, until it delivers you to a viewing platform that leaves you breathless. From here, 29 peaks over 4,000 meters are visible, including the mighty Matterhorn. Matterhorn Glacier Paradise. Want to go even higher? Take the cable car up to 3,883 meters, the highest cable car station in Europe. Here, you are standing above the clouds. There's a glacier palace inside the mountain, complete with ice sculptures and tunnels. Outside, skiing, even in summer. Hiking the 5 Lakes Trail. This scenic route passes by 5 tranquil alpine lakes, each reflecting the Matterhorn in their glassy surfaces. It's one of the most photogenic hikes in the world. Local culture and cuisine. In Zermatt, wood-framed chalets line the cobbled streets. Fondue pots bubble in cozy restaurants. And on winter evenings, the smell of raclette, melted cheese scraped over potatoes, fills the air. You'll find mountaineering museums, yodeling festivals, and even local artists who've spent lifetimes painting the mountain they see from their windows every day. Why Zermatt is a must-visit? It's not just about the view. It's about feeling small beneath something so grand, so timeless. Zermatt isn't just a place you visit. It's a place that stays with you. 2. Lucerne, the fairy tale city by the lake. Now, we drift northeast, trading rugged peaks for something softer, something poetic. Nestled on the shores of Lake Lucerne, surrounded by rolling hills and framed by distant mountains, lies a city that feels like it was imagined by a storyteller. Welcome to Lucerne. First impressions. As you step off the train, you are immediately greeted by the shimmer of the lake. Swans glide effortlessly across the surface. The air smells faintly of fresh bread and water lilies. And rising in the distance is Mount Pilatus, a jagged ridge cloaked in cloud and legend. But before the mountains, before the lake, your eyes are drawn to the bridge. The Kapellbrücke Chapel Bridge, built in 1333, the Chapel Bridge is the oldest wooden covered bridge in Europe. And unlike anything else in the world. As you walk across its length, 17th century paintings hang beneath the wooden beams, telling stories of Lucerne's history, battles, plagues, triumphs. Each one more gripping than the last. Beside the bridge is the water tower, once a prison, later a treasury. Today, it stands as Lucerne's proud symbol, reflected in the lake like a scene from a painting. Things to do in Lucerne. Mount Pilatus excursion. Legends say dragons once lived here. Take the world's steepest cogwheel railway to the summit, or ride the Dragon Ride gondola, a thrilling aerial journey to 2,132 meters above sea level. From the top, a 360-degree view of central Switzerland. Lake Lucerne cruise, board a paddle steamer and float across turquoise waters. Villagers pass like forgotten fairy tales. Mountains stand as silent sentinels. And for a few hours, the world becomes still. Mosaic wall. Climb the medieval towers of Lucerne's original city wall. Some still house ticking clockwork centuries old. And from the top, you'll see the entire city unfold below you. Culture and local life. Lucerne is where tradition thrives. Watchmakers repair antique pieces in alleyway workshops. Street musicians play alpine melodies near the Reuse River. And locals greet each other in soft Swiss German as they walk their dogs at dusk. In winter, the city transforms into a snow globe. Christmas markets light up the old town. The smell of mulled wine fills the air. And soft carols echo through the narrow lanes. Cuisine you can't miss. Luzerner Chubeli pastate, a rich puff pastry filled with creamy veal ragu and mushrooms. Bircher muesli, invented in Switzerland, it's a refreshing mix of oats, yogurt, fruit, and nuts. Swiss chocolate. Lucerne's chocolatiers craft small batch delights, rich, smooth, and unforgettable. Why Lucerne captivates everyone? Lucerne is elegance wrapped in history. It's the feeling of discovering a secret, of walking through a living storybook. A place where every corner hums with gentle magic. In Switzerland, every bend in the road reveals something different. A crumbling fortress tucked into a cliffside, a valley carved by time, a town where the air smells of stone ovens and wildflowers. We've seen the majesty of the Matterhorn and the grace of Lucerne. But the story isn't over, not even close. Today, we continue into the heart of Switzerland. Into two places that couldn't be more different. One, a medieval stronghold where history still breathes in the stone walls. The other, a place where water doesn't just flow, it roars. 3. Château de Chillon, Switzerland's legendary lakeside castle. As the train glides along the northern shore of Lake Geneva, there's a moment, a gasp, when the castle appears. Rising straight out of the water, with turrets piercing the sky and centuries of secrets locked inside its stone heart, stands Château de Chillon. This isn't just any castle. This is the most visited historic monument in all of Switzerland. And when you see it, you'll know why. A castle built on water and legend, Chillon Castle dates back nearly 1,000 years. Built by the Counts of Savoy in the 12th century, it was designed to guard the strategic passage between the Alps and Lake Geneva. And perhaps, to guard something else. Inside, the air is cool and silent. Stone halls stretch out like whispers from the past. You walk through Gothic halls, past rusting suits of armor, into the dungeons, where the poet Lord Byron carved his name into a column while writing, "The Prisoner of Chillon." You can still see it. Still touch it. What to see? The dungeon. Perhaps the most famous part of the castle, dark, eerie, and yet strangely beautiful. Here, prisoners once waited for execution beneath vaulted ceilings and candle-lit walls. The great halls, soaring chambers where feasts were held and alliances forged. The wood beams above have watched centuries pass. The stained glass windows burn with color when sunlight hits. The ramparts walk along the castle's defenses. Peer out over the lake and imagine enemy ships approaching centuries ago and being turned back. Why it's so special? It's not just the architecture. It's not just the lake view. It's the feeling, the sense that time here has paused. That history isn't behind glass, it's alive, right under your feet. Nearby treasures Montreux. Just minutes away is Montreux, the lakeside town known for its jazz festivals, flower-lined promenades, and a soft Mediterranean air that seems to wrap you in calm. Lavac's vineyards, just east of the castle, lie sweeping terraced vineyards, centuries old, overlooking the lake. The wines here? Smooth, earthy, almost too perfect. 4. Lauterbrunnen Valley, the valley of 72 waterfalls. Now we leave behind castles and calm waters and step into one of the most otherworldly places on earth. Lauterbrunnen, a name that means many fountains, and when you arrive, you understand. This glacial valley is carved so deep, so narrow, that cliffs rise nearly 1,000 meters on either side. And from these cliffs, waterfalls. Not one, not 10, but 72 of them. Whispering, crashing, soaring down mossy walls into the valley below. The village that time forgot, the village itself is straight out of a fairy tale. Wooden chalets with overflowing flower boxes. Churches with slender spires and ringing bells. A single road winding through it all, framed by green fields and towering mountains. Every direction you turn feels like a postcard. But it's more than beautiful. It's humbling. Top waterfalls to visit: Tobak Falls, the most iconic. It drops nearly 300 meters from a sheer cliff right behind the village. On misty mornings, it disappears into the clouds. On clear days, it becomes a ribbon of silver dancing in the wind. Trummelback Falls, hidden inside the mountain, these waterfalls thunder through narrow passages, 20,000 liters of glacial meltwater every second. You walk inside, into the rock itself, feeling the power of water as it shakes the stone walls around you. Adventures in Lauterbrunnen: paragliding, take off from above and soar over the valley like an eagle. Below, the village becomes a toy town, the waterfalls shimmer, and the Alps rise like giants. Hiking to Murren, a steep path through forest and meadow leads you to Murren, a car-free village perched on the cliffs. The views? They'll steal your breath and never give it back. Cable car to Shilthorne, want to feel like James Bond? Ride the aerial tramway up to Shilthorne, where the 1969 Bond film on Her Majesty's Secret Service was shot. There's a rotating restaurant at the top, Pus Gloria, with views of the Eiger, Monk, and Jungfrau peaks. Why Lauterbrunnen isn't just a valley? J.R.R. Tolkien visited Lauterbrunnen before writing The Lord of the Rings. He called it the inspiration for Rivendell. And when you're here, you understand exactly what he meant. When to visit: spring, waterfalls rage with snowmelt. Meadows explode with wildflowers. Summer, perfect for hiking, paragliding, and photography. Autumn, the crowds thin, the leaves blaze gold. Winter, silence, snow and stillness. A whole different kind of magic. Switzerland is a land of wonders, yes, but it is also a land of layers. Peel back the postcard perfection, and you'll find something deeper. In the ice, in the cobblestones, in the silence between mountaintops. This part of the journey takes us into Switzerland's frozen heart. And then brings us gently into its most colorful, fairy tale city. 5. Jungfraujoch, the top of Europe. Imagine standing on a mountain saddle, surrounded by nothing but pure white snow and eternal ice. At 3,454 meters above sea level, the Jungfraujoch is known as the top of Europe, and when you're up there, with clouds beneath your feet and glacial winds brushing your face. The name makes perfect sense. The journey there, more than half the magic, the Jungfrau experience begins far before you reach the summit. You board the Bernese Oberland Railway in Interlaken, a charming town nestled between two turquoise lakes, and begin your ascent. As the train climbs higher, you pass green pastures, cow-dotted hills, tiny wooden villages, and then ice. Next, you transfer to the Jungfrau Railway, an engineering marvel that climbs through the Eiger and Monk mountains, literally inside them, via tunnels bored more than a century ago. Windows carved into the mountain wall let you stop and gaze down onto the glaciers below. And then, you arrive. What awaits at the top? The Ice Palace, a frozen world of tunnels and sculptures, carved deep into the glacier itself. Every wall and floor sparkles with blue crystal light. The Sphinx Observatory, perched like a futuristic outpost, this research station and viewing platform offers panoramic views over the Aletsch Glacier, the largest in the Alps. A sea of ice stretches for miles, unbroken and untamed. Snow Fun Park, yes, even in summer. You can go tubing, sledding, or just collapse into powdery snow and laugh like a child. The Aletsch Glacier, this river of ice stretches for 23 kilometers. It's ancient, alive, and constantly shifting. Scientists come here to study climate change. Travelers come to stand in silence and feel the weight of time beneath their boots. Why Jungfraujoch is unmissable. It's the only place in the world where you can have coffee above the clouds, hike across a glacier, and ride a train through a mountain, all in the same morning. It's not just about altitude. It's about awe. 6. Bern, the timeless Swiss capital. Now we descend, not just in elevation, but in tempo. From the ice-bound highlands, we arrive in Bern, the Swiss capital that doesn't feel like a capital at all. No towering glass towers. No roaring traffic. Just cobblestone streets, terracotta rooftops. And the slow hum of medieval time still ticking. A UNESCO World Heritage Old Town, Bern's Old Town, enclosed in a bend of the Aare River, is a perfectly preserved slice of the past. Arcade streets, 6 kilometers of them, stretch beneath sandstone buildings. It's not just beautiful, it's walkable in the best way. Rain or shine, you can stroll, browse, sip coffee, or simply exist here. The Zeitblogger, time made visible. In the center stands the Zeitblogger, Bern's iconic astronomical clock tower. Built in the 13th century, this clock does more than just tick. Every hour, a small crowd gathers to watch mechanical figures, bears, jesters, roosters, dance to an invisible rhythm. It's a marvel of medieval engineering and whimsy. Top things to do in Bern: Rose Garden, a hilltop park with over 200 varieties of roses and the best panoramic view of the city. It's peaceful, romantic, and surprisingly quiet for a capital city. Einstein Museum and House. Bern is where Albert Einstein lived when he developed the theory of relativity. You can visit his former apartment and the museum nearby, filled with letters, photographs, and even his pipe. Bear Park. Yes, Bern is named after bears, and you can still see them today. Not in a cage, but in a spacious enclosure beside the river, where they roam, climb, and nap in the shade of chestnut trees. Culture, rhythm, and taste. Bern isn't loud. It doesn't shout. It whispers, and you lean in to listen. You hear it in the music from street violinists, in the sound of church bells echoing off the sandstone, and in the soft crunch of a buttery croissant from a 200-year-old bakery. And yes, let's talk food. Try a bowl of Berner Platt, a hearty dish of smoked meats, sauerkraut, and potatoes. Wash it down with a local craft beer or a glass of Bernese wine from nearby vineyards. Why Bern feels like a secret? Because it moves at its own pace. It isn't trying to impress. It just is. And that quiet confidence makes it unforgettable. As our journey continues, we leave the frozen silence of Jungfraujoch and the quiet grace of Bern behind. Now, we move toward motion, toward color, toward rhythm. Switzerland is often known for its stillness, but some of its greatest wonders are in the way it moves, with culture, with creativity, with water. In part 4, we discover a city of art and energy, and a lake that reflects heaven itself. 7. Zurich, where innovation meets tradition. You might think of Zurich as a financial hub, a place of suits, banks, and quiet efficiency. And yes, it's all those things. But look closer, and you'll find a city that pulses with creativity, surprise, and soul. Zurich isn't just a place to land. It's a place to linger. First impressions, old meets new. As you exit Zurich Hauptbahnhof, the city's grand train station, you are immediately surrounded by contrasts. Sleek trams slide silently beside buildings that have stood for 500 years. Street artists perform just steps from luxury boutiques. Zurich is a dance between tradition and modernity, and somehow, it works. Wander the Altstadt, Zurich's old town. The cobbled streets of Altstadt are alive with whispers of the past. Timbered buildings lean in close like old friends. Every corner reveals a tiny cafe, an art gallery, a bookstore that smells of leather and dust. Visit Grossmünster, Zurich's twin-towered Protestant church, where legend says Charlemagne discovered the graves of the city's patron saints. Then, walk across the river to Fraunster, famous for its radiant stained glass windows designed by artist Marc Chagall. As sunlight streams through blue and crimson, the sacred and the surreal become one. Modern art, design and culture Kunsthaus Zurich, one of Switzerland's top art museums, with works from Alberto Giacometti, Van Gogh, Picasso, and contemporary visionaries. Zurich West, an industrial district turned creative hub. Imagine old factories now filled with design studios, food halls, rooftop bars, and street murals. This is the beating heart of Zurich's youth culture. Viaduct, an old railway bridge transformed into a chic stretch of boutiques, artisan shops, and pop-up cafes. Below the arches, style. Above them, trains still rumble through, past and present intertwined. Lake Zurich, the city's blue jewel, step down to the lakeside promenade. Here, locals walk their dogs, ride vintage bicycles, and pause to feed swans. The lake stretches out like glass, with the Alps in the far distance. On summer days, people dive right in. In the evenings, lights shimmer on the water like fireflies. Zurich at night, forget what you think you know. Zurich's nightlife is electric. Jazz bars hidden in vaulted cellars. Rooftop lounges. Outdoor theaters under the stars. There's poetry in the way the city glows after dark. Safe, quiet, but deeply alive. Why Zurich is more than a stopover? Because it teaches us this: even in order, there can be artistry. Even in stillness, there can be pulse. Zurich is not just a gateway to Switzerland. It's a destination in its own right. 8. Lake Geneva and the towns that surround it. Now, we travel west, to where Switzerland meets France, and where the water tells stories. Lake Geneva, or Lac Léman as it's known in French, is one of Europe's largest lakes. Stretching over 70 kilometers, its crescent-shaped cradles some of Switzerland's most beautiful towns, vineyards, and viewpoints. It's not just a lake. It's a world. Montreux, the music capital. Let's start in Montreux, the jewel of the lake's eastern edge. Known worldwide for its Montreux Jazz Festival, this small town transforms every July into a soundstage for legends. From Miles Davis to Queen, Montreux has hosted them all. Stroll the lakeside promenade, where palm trees sway beside bronze statues. One, in particular, stands out: Freddie Mercury, cast in bronze, overlooking the water with arms outstretched. He lived and recorded here. And it shows. Vevey, a town that smiles, just 10 minutes from Montreux is Vevey, a postcard-perfect town with colorful facades and flower boxes. Vevey was once home to Charlie Chaplin, and his former mansion, Manoir the Ban, is now a museum filled with film history and personal artifacts. On the lakefront, a giant stainless steel fork rises from the water, a whimsical sculpture by the Nestlé Alimentarium, a museum dedicated to food, taste, and how we eat. It's quirky, fun, and fascinating. Lausanne, the Olympic city. Further along the lake is Lausanne, Switzerland's energetic and youthful city, home to the International Olympic Committee. The Olympic Museum here is world-class. Interactive, emotional, inspiring. Climb the hills of the old town, visit Lausanne Cathedral, and then descend to the lakeside district of Auchy, where people picnic, jog, and sip wine by the water. Lausanne moves fast, but not too fast. Like a waltz you don't want to end. Levax, vineyards that touch the sky. Between Montreux and Lausanne lies Levax, a UNESCO World Heritage Site of terraced vineyards carved into the hills over 800 years ago. Here, rows of grape vines tumble toward the lake in perfect geometry. The wines are light, floral, and almost impossible to export. Why? Because the Swiss drink them all. You can walk the Lavax wine trail, tasting as you go. In every glass, you taste the sun, the stone, the water, and the work of generations. Why Lake Geneva stays with you? Because it's not just one place, it's a collection of stories. Music, art, food, history. A lake with a French accent and a Swiss soul. All journeys must end, but some places, they stay with us forever. In this final chapter of our adventure across Switzerland, we visit two destinations that don't just look magical, they feel it. One is a village straight out of a children's storybook, where life moves slower, softer, sweeter. And the other sits at the edge of the world, high above the clouds, where time feels suspended. 9. Appenzell, the fairy tale village time forgot, tucked away in northeastern Switzerland, surrounded by gentle hills and jagged peaks, lies Appenzell, a village so perfectly Swiss, it almost feels like a stage set. But this is no illusion. Appenzell is real. And it's glorious. First impressions, like walking into a painting, as you step into the town center, the first thing you notice is the buildings, every facade hand-painted in bright reds, greens, blues, and yellows. Some show old coats of arms. Others depict saints, cows, or farm scenes. No two buildings look alike, and that's the point. People here take pride in tradition. You'll see men in red vests and black hats. Women in embroidered aprons. And not for tourists, this is simply how they live. A living Swiss tradition, the Landsgemeinde, Appenzell is one of the last places in Europe where people vote by raising their hands in the town square. No paper, no digital. Just honesty, heritage, and trust. Cheese making. Ever heard of Appenzeller cheese? This is where it comes from. A sharp, tangy delight soaked in a secret herbal brine. Visit a local dairy and watch it made by hand, no machines, just time and skill. Alpabfahrt Festival. In early autumn, cows are brought down from alpine pastures, decorated in flowers and bells. The parade, the music, the joy. It's the Alps at their most joyful and most human. The Ebenalp Cliff Church, a hidden gem, a short hike above Appenzell leads you to a place that feels like it belongs in a dream, Wildkirchli, a tiny church built into the side of a cliff. Nearby is the Escher Guest House, a wooden inn precariously perched on the edge. People have traveled here for centuries for peace, solitude, and now, for one of the most Instagrammed spots in the world. Why Appenzell feels like magic? Because it's untouched. Because it's proud. Because here, the past hasn't vanished, it's been protected, cherished, and lived every day. 10. St. Moritz, the alpine jewel in the sky, our final stop takes us high, not just in altitude, but in elegance. Welcome to St. Moritz, the world-famous alpine resort that redefines luxury while offering some of the most awe-inspiring landscapes in the world. Glamour meets glacier. St. Moritz isn't just a ski town. It's the ski town. The birthplace of winter tourism. Host of 2 Winter Olympics. Playground of royals, celebrities, and explorers. But beneath the glitz is a purity, a stark, wild beauty that makes you stop and stare. Lake St. Moritz. In summer, it's a mirror. In winter, it's a playground, frozen solid, with polo matches and horse races held right on the ice. Yes, horses. On ice. Skiing, hiking, bobsledding, and beyond Corviglia, the resort's main ski area offers world-class runs with views that make you forget you're even skiing. Uotas Muragal. Ride the red funicular up to a 2,500-meter summit, where panoramic hiking trails and sunsets await. Cresta Run. Ever wanted to race down an ice chute head first? The Cresta Run, a natural ice skeleton toboggan track, is a thrill-seeker's dream. The Glacier Express, the world's most beautiful train ride. To reach or leave St. Moritz, you can take the Glacier Express, an 8-hour panoramic train that glides across 291 bridges, through 91 tunnels, and across the Alps. They call it the slowest express train in the world. And for good reason, you won't want the ride to end. Culture and comfort. St. Moritz is also home to art galleries, boutique shops, fine dining, and the soothing mineral-rich St. Moritz Spa, used for over 3,000 years. This is where you come to treat yourself, body, soul, and spirit. Why St. Moritz ends the journey perfectly? Because it's Switzerland at full volume, dramatic, pristine, luxurious, and deeply humbling. Place to reflect, to exhale, to say goodbye, or maybe see you again soon.